taking down USAID and taking on anti-Christian bias. It's 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV, 5 things you need to know in about 10 minutes for Monday, February 10th, 2025. I'm Derek Gilbert. The superb owl took its annual flight last night. It's a reference to a TV show we don't recommend you watch. Anyway, the Philadelphia Eagles kept the Kansas City Chiefs from becoming the first team to win 3 Super Bowls consecutively, winning the game 40-22. I was in bed by halftime, missed all the great ads and all the bad ads. And of course, the halftime show, Illuminati symbolism, of course. This is we live in this world. So let us not be afraid or freaked out when we see these things. Frankly, I'd be shocked if we saw a halftime show that didn't have some sort of strange symbolism connected to it. Just remember Psalm 2. Why do the nations rage and imagine a vain thing? And then skipping down up, he who sits in the heavens laughs, the Lord holds them in derision. Pity the poor globalists. They think they're winning. Item number 5 today, USAID. We've been hearing a lot about Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency taking down the wasteful spending and the far left-wing social engineering of USAID. Not only has USAID been caught meddling in the affairs of other nations, it meddled in the affairs of this one. Independent journalist Michael Schellenberger reports on his Substack called Public, well worth subscribing to. Quote, the whistleblower who triggered the impeachment of President Trump in 2019 was a CIA analyst who was first brought into the White House by the Obama administration. The CIA analyst relied on reporting by a supposedly independent investigative news organization called the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, or OCCRP, which appears to have effectively operated as an arm of the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. The CIA whistleblower complaint cited a long report by OCCRP 4 times. Skipping down, a 2024 documentary that German television broadcaster NDR made about OCCRP's dependence on the U.S. government. A USAID official confirmed that USAID approves OCCRP's annual work plan and approves new hires of key personnel. In short, summarizing Schellenberger's work here, quote, it appears that CIA, USAID, and OCCRP were all involved in the impeachment of President Trump in ways similar to the regime change operations that all 3 organizations engage in abroad. The difference is that it is highly illegal and even treasonous for CIA, USAID, and its contractors and intermediaries, known as cutouts, to interfere in U.S. politics this way, end quote. Now, this may explain why USAID is being so aggressively targeted by DOJ and why the CIA has offered all of its employees the same 8-month buyout for those employees who choose to retire rather than wait to be fired. Has been offered to the rest of the federal government. Topic number 4, the White House Faith Office. On Friday morning, President Trump issued this executive order, eradicating anti-Christian bias. I'm going to quote several paragraphs from this executive order. By the authority vested in me as president, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. It is the policy of the United States and the purpose of this order to protect the religious freedoms of Americans and end the anti-Christian weaponization of government. The founders established a nation in which people were free to practice their faith without fear of discrimination or retaliation by their government. Yet the previous administration engaged in an egregious pattern of targeting peaceful Christians while ignoring violent anti-Christian offenses. The Biden Department of Justice sought to squelch faith in the public square by bringing federal criminal charges and obtaining in numerous cases multi-year prison sentences against nearly 24 peaceful pro-Christian, pro-life Christians, that is, for praying and demonstrating outside abortion facilities. In 2023, a Federal Bureau of Investigation memorandum asserted that radical traditionalist Catholics were domestic terrorism threats and suggested infiltrating Catholic churches as threat mitigation. This later redacted FBI memorandum cited as support cited as support evidence propaganda from highly partisan sources, end quote. It goes on much longer than that, but to correct this, the president has established a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias inside his administration, led by new Attorney General Pam Bondi, and including most, if not all, of the rest of his cabinet and senior administration officials. Now, okay, look, we agree with getting the federal government, all United States government, out of our business. Remember, First Amendment of the Constitution, Congress shall make no law establishing or regarding the establishment of religion or basically interfering with the free exercise thereof. I'm paraphrasing. I thought I had it memorized, but you get to a certain age. Anyway, we agree with that. However, President Trump has taken this a step further and created a White House faith office. And this gets dangerously close to mixing politics and religion. And like the old joke says, what you get when you mix politics and religion, you get politics. And that is, we disagree with that. Now, leftists and liberal Christians are up in arms because of the creation of this office in the first place. And many conservative Christians are up in arms because of who President Trump chose to head up the office. This would be Paula White-Cain. Now, we can set her theology aside. I don't want to tackle that in this particular forum. Let's just watch and see what happens. Okay? I do think it's kind of funny that many of us Christians who over the last 16 years have been saying we need to get the federal government out of our business. And now we've got a president who is taking steps to do it. And now we're complaining because of he didn't pick the person from our preferred denomination to head up the White House faith office. Again, I think establishing the faith office was a step too far. But if it stays in its lane and just makes recommendations, here, Mr. President, here are some steps we think that can be taken to get the federal government out of the free exercise thereof, then it's fine. Let's sit back, wait, see what happens. And if it oversteps, I will say so. Topic number 3, spying on the cartels. A U.S. spy plane was caught watching its flight path, conducting a mysterious mission over the Gulf of California in Mexico this week. And by the way, that Gulf of Mexico now to the right of Mexico has now been decreed by presidential proclamation, the Gulf of America. It's like most of the shoreline borders on the United States of America, so it kind of makes sense. Anyway, the U.S. Air Force RC-135 Rivet Joint reconnaissance aircraft took off from Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska on Monday, flew southwest California. As you can see, it flew up into the Gulf of California there on alongside the Baja California Peninsula. It appeared to stay in international airspace while operating near Mexico, did not reach the end of the Gulf that's blocked by Mexico's territorial sea, but that area does fall under the influence of the Sinaloa cartel, which is a very large, powerful, and notorious drug trafficking ring. So what's going on there? Don't know. U.S. government, Mexican government getting ready to go to war with the cartels? Or was the U.S. government just sending a message to Mexico? Please continue patrolling the border and we'll consider continuing to delay the 25% tariffs. Not sure. As with the previous item, let's just sit back, watch, and see what happens. Topic number 2, the UK and Apple. Sir Keir Starmer, what are you doing? The UK government has demanded that Apple create a backdoor into its cloud to allow them to retrieve content that any Apple user from anywhere in the world has uploaded in the cloud. Now, as an Apple Cloud user, iCloud, this hits close to home, but it is disturbing that the UK government would demand access to encrypted data. It's stored in encrypted form so that, it's private. And the UK wants access to it all. Not just UK citizens, but citizens from anywhere on planet Earth. This is an unprecedented intrusion of online privacy and civil liberties. This was reported by the Washington Post on Friday. According to the Post, this order by the British government was issued last month. Apple typically has assisted government on case-by-case basis. Okay, yeah, you've got a suspect in a criminal case, and you want access to his online data to see if he or she was doing something nefarious. Okay, no, UK wants access to everything by everybody. The Post said that this is unprecedented in major democracies. The law, known by critics as the Snoopers Law, the Investigatory Powers Act of 2016. So this is not a new law in the UK. It's just Sir Keir Starmer's Labour government is insisting on a new way of enforcing it. Makes it a criminal offense to reveal that the government has even made such a demand. So Apple was not even supposed to tell anybody. Not sure how the Washington Post got the story. Apple has officially refused to comment on it. But while Apple has, according to the Post, offered to stop offering encrypted storage for citizens of the UK, that does not affect the UK's demand for access to the cloud for encrypted storage from everybody else who uses iCloud on planet Earth. Now, please understand, this is not one of those, if you're not hiding something, you have nothing to worry about situations. Any backdoor that can be exploited by the good guys can also be exploited by the bad guys. You don't want a backdoor into the system. Coming up, what made Babylon great? You would be surprised. I'll tell you next on 5 and 10.
You can support the ministry of Skywatch TV and our continued efforts to share the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the four corners of the world and receive your very own copy of this incredible masterpiece when you order the World Before the Flood special offer. Not only does this incredible opportunity include Rick Renner's new book, Fallen Angels, Giants, Monsters, and the World Before the Flood, how the events of Noah's Ark and the flood are relevant to the end of the age, but it also includes the best-selling book, Giants, Gods, and Dragons, exposing the fallen realm and the plot to ignite the final war of the ages by Derek and Sharon Gilbert with companion DVD. This incredible book and DVD set reveals the actual identities of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, the identity of Nimrod, and the true location of Babel. Why the wild beasts that accompany the deadly rider on the pale horse might actually be disease-causing viruses, and so much more. Sold separately, these items hold a retail value of nearly $100. Yours now for your donation of only $45, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. So don't delay. You can support the ministry of Skywatch TV and help us continue spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. You can visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the World Before the Flood special offer right now.
Item number 1 today, what made Babylon great? Well, according to Adventist pastor Debelair Snell, the reason Babylon was the most powerful nation in the statue in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, you know, the head of gold, the torso and arms of silver, the chest and arms of silver, the torso of bronze and the legs of iron. And of course, you got the toes of iron and miry clay. That's a whole prophetic thing that we won't get into. Typically identified or interpreted as the head of gold being Babylon, the silver being the Medo-Persian Empire, the chest, torso of bronze being Greece, and then the legs of iron being Rome. Gold was not the most powerful nation. That was iron. That was Rome. Anyway, Pastor Snell said this, quote, what God was telling Daniel is that Babylon, the head of gold, would be the most powerful nation in this succession. Okay, I'm following along so far. Daniel's vision of the four empires that would precede the coming of Messiah does have Babylon in the head of gold. So then the question is what would make Babylon so great? I'm glad you asked. You just read it there in Daniel chapter 1. Do you realize that for all Nebuchadnezzar's eccentricities, he had one good civil practice? What made Babylon stand out was they instituted a diversity, equity, and inclusion program. What Pastor Snell is saying is that what made Babylon wealthy was they opened up the upper levels of the civil service to people from Judea, you know, like Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. No, that's not what made Babylon. What made Babylon great was they violently conquered and sacked the treasures of those smaller nations. Remember, Pastor Snell, he took all of the gold and temple service from the temple of Yahweh in Jerusalem. and then destroyed the temple. That's what made Babylon wealthy and powerful. He stole the treasures of all those surrounding nations. And then, taking their best and brightest kids would be a way to make sure that those smaller nations wouldn't have, it would brain drain. They wouldn't have their smart young men like Daniel to help those nations rise up and become powerful and threaten the power of That's what made Babylon great. And there is this also, speaking of prophecy, John the Revelator used Babylon as the symbol of the pagan end times church of the Antichrist. So no, I'm glad we agree. Babylon had a DEI program, but Babylon was not the good guys. Missing the point. Well, speaking of prophecy, this week we continue our discussion with Rick Renner about his book, Fallen Angels, Giants, Monsters, and the World Before the Flood. The Euphrates River is drying up. Is that connected to the drying up of the Euphrates in the book of Revelation? Don't miss the programs. You can watch the two previous programs as well as this one at skywatchtv.com. Our broadcast schedule, if you watch us over the air, is posted at skywatchtv.com/channels. You can watch it on a set-top box, Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV. If you've got a smart TV preloaded with Roku or Fire TV, please add the Skywatch TV channel and bring all of our content right to your big screen. You can also watch us on the internet. We're at YouTube, at Skywatch Television. Subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, hit the like button. And rumble.com/Skywatch TV. You can also watch us on your mobile device. Bypass the gatekeepers of big tech. Bring all of our content right into your smartphone or tablet by downloading our app for iOS, Android, or Amazon Kindle Fire. And we have links to their app stores at skywatchtv.com/app. Follow 5 in 10 online. You can get all of our stuff at YouTube at 5 in 10. Subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, hit the like button, and please follow us on X, formerly Twitter, at 5_in_10. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.